it's so very, very rare that you'll actually get something that is truly too good to be true, but it is. Because
Yeah,
no, you
like my wife. Send that clip to her.
I'm not touching that one. Moving on.
Help me with hip hop. Let's get it right. Protect your patience. Day and night. Donna and David, the experts on your side. Help me with hip hop. Let's get it right.
So last week we mentioned the fact that some scumbags were going around and doing, I'm a cybersecurity person. And then they were, but they were also working both sides of the law, working for the bad guys and trying to help the clients. Well, just go back and listen to last week. But right after that, we had some more news that came out. And so Donna found out that a couple of the guys that were the cybersecurity professionals that were caught up in this scam, they did get sentenced. So what did you find out?
Yeah, it was interesting. They could have gotten up to 20 years. So you got the two that had already pled guilty, and then last week we were talking about the ringleader was the last one to plead guilty. Mm-hmm. So probably these two, as they say, flipped. But we don't get to talk about that a lot in cybersecurity. It's not a thing, but it's becoming one apparently. So they got 4 years, the underlings. So I'm hoping that in July, when the other one's sentenced, he'll get 8 years, at least double, what the other guys as the ringleader or whatever. But still, though, 4 years out of 20. But I don't know about you. I don't know any cybersecurity people that could even do 4 years in jail.
Yeah, I don't remember how much money they got, but I always have to ask the question, is it still good money? Like, if you get out and you've got that money somewhere, I don't know, maybe it was worth it.
No, I think they've taken a lot of it back.
I hope so.
Yes.
Because I always have to ask, they say crime doesn't pay, but sometimes obviously it does.
Yeah. So, they were making a lot of money. They were getting an 80-20 cut off of the ransomware and getting paid to negotiate with themselves.
Yeah.
How about that?
I do that sometimes myself. I don't know about you. Constantly negotiating with myself.
Yeah. But the bigger picture is I brought that up because we talked about it last week. But, if we're going to talk about criminals, let's talk about the annual FBI IC3 report. Because IC3, Internet Crime Complaint Center, because it hurts. So, yeah, it's pretty painful to look at.
Yeah, well, this is the 25th annual report, which is great because anytime you have the history of that long to go back and look, you can really see the trends of what's happening. And some of this stuff is like, holy cow. It's good grief at how things have climbed up. And it's some interesting stuff. So we'll go through it. We're going to talk through the charts, give you our take on some of this information. Some of it is obviously terrible, and some of it's worse than terrible. There's nothing good, I don't think, we'll talk about today. So if you came here for a good feel, it's not good.
We'll do our best to keep it light.
But here's the thing, though, is you need to know what you don't know.
That's right.
And you need to understand who's vulnerable, what the risks are, and how you can mitigate those. Because some of this you might actually be surprised by, even though some of it's the same stuff, bigger losses and, smarter scams, you still need to understand what that even means. So,
I see it as something that you can go to leadership with and say, you can't make good risk management decisions without this kind of knowledge.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
but you can also use it as a teaching tool, which I think it has the most value as a teaching tool, because make it about me and I'm going to learn way more. And boy,
Yep.
does this give you a lot of make it about me stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead, lead on, Kinky Turtle.
Well, it's also worth mentioning that as we go through this, we're not talking about cybercrime that's reported based on strictly businesses or strictly healthcare.
Mm-mm.
This is across the board. So this is everything from your kids filing a complaint. I say kids, to 20-somethings filing a complaint, to your mom and dad, your grandparents, whoever, and businesses. So it's kind of across the board. Because cybersecurity, believe it or not, the bad guys don't say, "Oh, we're sorry, you're an individual. We meant to hit a business. We'll move on." No.
Or
they don't
vice
care.
versa.
Yeah, they don't care. So, all right. So let's jump into this first one, because a quarter century of crime reporting as far as cybercrime goes. Now, I'm just going to give you the full chart for those of you who want to picture this in your mind. In 2001, the complaints per year was 49,711. So just less than 50,000. Last year, drum roll, please. It was just over 1 million. So in 25 years, we've gone from 50,000 to 1 million. If only my income would have increased that much in 25 years.
and that's just talking about the number of complaints that have been
Oh, yeah.
filed.
That's
Not the number of attacks.
The losses. No, it's not the number of attacks, because I don't know what the percentage is, and I don't know anywhere you can find the data. I always want to know, well, if this many people complained about it, how many didn't complain about it?
Mm-hmm.
Or if this many people said they had a data breach, how many didn't say they had one? It's, it's always more. It's the iceberg effect, right?
Yeah.
We only see the top piece of it. There's a much bigger story underneath. But okay, so we got a number of complaints. Number of complaints went from 50,000 to 1 million. Now let's talk about the losses. This is, talk about a hockey stick. So in 2001, we had the 50,000 complaints. That converted into $17.8 million in losses. Now, fast forward to last year, we had 1 million complaints. What do you think? Can you do the math? What do you think? How much in losses?
Well, everything's more expensive now, David.
Here it is. Ready? 20.8 billion with a B. That's crazy. And then for those of you who maybe don't know, maybe you've never seen that kind of money, $1 billion is 1,000 million. So $20,000 million. That sounds worse. 20,000 million sounds a lot worse than 20 billion.
Well, and what's interesting when you look at it, it's like the complaints by year started to peak in 2009, and then kind of dropped down a little bit in 2015, 16, 17. But the money has just been straight up. It's like going straight up the slope. You're going against the grain, straight up, never stopped, boom. But that's the same time when it transitioned from mostly targeting individuals to mostly targeting businesses. That was a big difference. Now, mostly is all relative when you're looking at, 500,000 complaints and they're across the board. So when you look at the losses, it's insane to see just how steep that incline is. And you have to say, I have to do everything I can to not suffer that way.
Yeah. And again, these are only the ones that were reported.
Mm-hmm.
So these numbers are likely much higher. Let's look at the age group. This is something that I like to understand because, you want to know who's the people that are most targeted. And some of you, may be in one of these age groups.
Yeah.
But we're gonna break this down, and I know again you're gonna have to do a mental picture here if you're listening to the podcast. But we do have the show notes. Go check it out. Go check out the screenshots and stuff like that, because this is going to show you the charts. We're going to break it down by the age group, how many complaints, and then the dollar losses. So basically, we're taking these two charts we just talked about, and we're going to break them down by age group. Where do you want to start? You want to start with the youngins or the folks your age? Which one?
Well, what we have always known is the most losses are going to occur with the older you get, the more money you have accumulated, you hope. And
Yeah.
So the losses tracks pretty well. It continues to go up as you go. And
Yep.
the complaints pretty much do as well. But boy, is it
Yeah.
bad. There's a massive jump from the 50 to 59 to the 60 plus.
Yeah.
It's-
It is.
It's like massive.
Everything almost doubles. So if you're in the 60 plus range, like Donna said, you are most likely you have the money, or at least access to the money.
Mhm.
Because I have known people in this age group that have been scammed, and they have done everything all the way up to and including selling their home as part of the scam. It is very unbearable to watch somebody go through that, especially when you're trying to stop them. And I know these family members begged and pleaded for these people to stop, and they would not, because they were caught up in these romance scams. So you've got 60 plus, you got 201,266 complaints. Of that, the losses were a massive $7.7 billion.
Yeah, you might as well just round up to 7.8.
7.8. Who cares? It's a rounding error at this point.
Right?
But to put that into perspective, if you drop that down to the 50 to 99-year-old class, right up under that, the complaints were 124,820. So it dropped down to almost half.
Mm.
And then the losses dropped to 3.7, might as well say 3.7 billion. So 3.7 billion versus 7.8. Massive difference.
Huge.
Massive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
then
I don't understand why there's a bump at the 40 to 49. There's a bump. But I don't know how to.
yeah, well, they went up. The number of complaints went up. The dollar amount dropped some. And then from there, it gets lower and lower as far as the number of complaints as well as the dollar amount. And I think that's contributed, and I'm just speculating, two reasons. One, the lower age groups don't have the money. They also probably aren't filing the complaints either.
Mhm. But
And
well, you would think a lot of
There
the
you go.
under 20 ones, maybe the parents are involved when you get below like 17. So maybe that would account for the fact that there's still, when you're under 20 group, 31,254 complaints and over 67 million in losses.
Yeah.
How they got that money? I got nothing.
I know. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yes.
Oh man. So let's take a look at the top 5 cyber enabled fraud crime. And this is where we get into things like extortion, the investment scams, the tech support scams. We talk about that a lot. Government impersonation. Now, we don't think about this often,
Mhm.
but this comes around a lot during tax season.
Oh, yeah.
So IRS, FBI, FBI has information. We can see that you have child pornography on your computer. If you don't pay us, and you'll go to jail, that kind of thing. So let's go over those top 5. Now I just gave you 5 of them. So let's
That's the
let's talk about
that's the top 5 in count, and then top 5 in losses is absolutely nuts. The difference in the number of complaints, primarily extortion and investment. Those are the biggest ones.
Yeah.
But it's still kind of like all of them a little stair step, like a little pyramid
Mhm.
upside down. But when you go to losses,
Yeah. So what do you think, Donna? What do you think the most in losses are?
well,
I know you're looking at the chart.
I know, but I'm thinking about, we'll just say family members again that do the investment fraud. I mean, it's prolific for particularly those over, I would say, once you get to about 50, they start hitting you. And it just gets worse the older that you are.
Well, we talked before we started recording that I know people personally, well, have known, that actually fell for the Nigerian print scam, which was technically an investment scam. But the numbers here, the investment scam losses $8.6 billion. And the second one below that is business email compromise. It's at $3 billion. So it's almost 3 times more than the second place. Crazy.
So this should tell you, if somebody's trying to get you to invest in something, don't. Just don't.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Yeah. Or at least be super, super skeptical.
Yeah.
Skeptical. Yeah. My thing is don't trust but verify. You verify, then trust.
Yeah.
Like,
never trust.
Never
trust.
And just because it reminds me, I had a guy a few years ago, friend of mine, runs a local business, whole 9 yards, comes up to me and he's like, I'm going to invest $10,000 into this thing. And the guy's already showed me the how it all works, and you can pull back money out of it like every month. And it's just amazing. I mean, as he's explaining it to me, I'm looking at it and I'm like, George, seriously, dude. Like, can you not see this is a scam? No, man, I swear it's not a scam. Like, he showed me the thing and he did this and he did that. And I know somebody else who's doing it. He's like, do you want in? I'm like, heck to the no. I do not want in. So fast forward like a year later, I was like, hey, George, whatever happened to that investment thing? He's like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
He's like, let me just say you were right. I'm like, dude, it reeked of an investment scam.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I know.
If it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Period. I mean, it's so very, very rare that you'll actually get something that is truly too good to be true, but it is. Because
Yeah.
no, you
Like my wife. Send that clip to her.
I'm not touching that one. Moving
But-
on.
It is worth kind of pointing out here that business email compromise was number 2 in the highest of the top 5 cyber-enabled fraud crime. Business email compromise. How many times do we talk about business email compromise?
Well, yeah.
Protecting those email accounts.
And what these are specifically talking about, the losses are where they get you to pay a bill or wire money or whatever because they're using those compromised email accounts. And it's not just they're getting control of the account and taking things. They're getting control of the account and convincing people to, give up the ghost, so to speak. It's not good.
Yeah, you're just handing it over.
Yeah.
Just hand it over. The third one on the list, not to be outdone by business email compromise by too much, was tech support scams.
I
So,
don't know how.
and this drives me crazy because, again, these are people who are the victims. The victims are literally calling the bad guys because you see the pop up on the screen. Something's wrong with your computer. You've got this on the computer. You've got that on the computer. Call this number. Call Microsoft. Call the FBI. Whatever it is. But these tech support scams are still getting people. And if you've not seen the movie The Beekeeper, that movie, the premise of that movie starts out with a tech support scam that a lady lost tons of money from a nonprofit that she was like over. And well, I don't want to give a lot of the movie away. It's a Jason Statham movie, so lots of guns and ammo and blows up stuff. But anyway, it's still, the whole thing is based on cyber crime. The movie is, but anyway, it's still something that happens a lot.
It's one of the most frustrating ones because, I mean, you've even had where somebody calls and pays them and you're like, but you already pay me for tech support.
Oh yeah. I know. It's like, and I was like, why did you call them? Well, I didn't want to bother you. I'm like, you're paying me to bother me and my team. Like, just send it to us. I don't understand it, but you know, it's an educational piece. Like you should always send everything to us, regardless of what it is.
Yeah, please. And if, you know, I've even had where a doctor's working at the hospital over a weekend and wants to print to that printer, but has never done it, and nobody's there to give them and literally Googled support for this printer and called and paid somebody who connected to the computer. It's a long story. It was.
Yeah. I mean, we've had clients that got an invoice that looked like it was from us, and they were like, this is odd, because there's different reasons. Sometimes it's the amount is different than they're used to, because we usually do flat rate stuff, or the design or layout of the invoice is different. Like, pay attention to all that. It could be any little thing. Like, if I'm going to send out invoices to my people, my clients, and it's changed, I'm going to let them know that, hey, just let you know, we're changing the look and the feel of our invoice, and this is what it's going to look like, you know, moving forward. If you have any questions at all, don't pay the invoice, which we have all of our clients on auto pay anyway, but don't pay the invoice, you know, question it first.
Well, and the other thing is where the money's going to go. You know, you don't do a link, make sure you're going to the site you're supposed to go to. And a big thing to understand is if somebody, let's say in David's example, one of his clients, their email gets hacked, and it happens to be the person that pays the bills, because those are often the targets, and they can then see the invoices that David sends and make them look like it. And they know you're used to paying that one, and you probably just pay it. So that's how those things are happening, and how they're getting so much money by compromising the email accounts. Because then they take and turn around and send invoices out to people that you're connected to, anybody that you may send an invoice to, or they then go after all the ones where you're paying a bill. It's nuts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've changed our banking information. Please set this up in your payment portal, you know, so that you can pay us in our new bank account.
Yeah. Need confirmation. Okay, so we should move on, because it's again, there's so many rabbit holes. But when we look at the types of crime, the number of complaints for each type of crime, and they have so many. So it starts with phishing and spoofing. And spoofing is something that people panic about. They get an email somebody gets an email that looks like it came from them. You know it didn't come from them, and they panic about it, even though it really didn't come from them. They spoofed it to make it look like it came from you.
Yeah, I had one of those last week.
Just, it's okay. Take a breath. We'll do a couple of checks. I'm pretty sure it's just spoofing. But that is, I mean, that's how frequent they're getting 191,000 complaints about phishing and spoofing in the types of crime just last year. And those are only the complaints, and you know how much that happens. So extortion, investment, personal data breach. It keeps going down. And then right there, tech support. There it is again. Way up there.
Mhm.
But there is one we haven't really talked about is the non-payment, non-delivery, where somebody supposedly is going to buy something from you, but then the card they use, you send them whatever, you send it to them, and then the money never comes through. Or vice versa, you buy it from them and the product never comes through. The money always goes to them, or the product goes to them. They win either way. And that is a much bigger problem than I thought it was going to be, because it's up there in the number of complaints as well as the amount of money. So again, you can't just, buy and sell things on the internet without something. I'm not. Anyway. Leading on, the identity theft, definitely way up there. Actually, more identity theft complaints than business email compromise. We've got a lot of employment scams that are going on. The confidence romance ones are the most brutal. They're just awful to see. It's also bad to watch the harassment and stalking ones, but it just keeps going. I mean, real estate, on and on and on. Threats of violence, SIM swapping, but of course, there's ransomware in there.
Mhm.
But fake charities. There's fake charities.
Yeah. Anytime you have a disaster happen, whether it's local, regional, whatever, you're going to have these charities pop up, these fake charities, every single time.
Yeah.
So if you're not aware, you can go to this website. I think it's called charitytracker.com. Oh, look at that right quick.
Yeah. Well, they got $8 million just last year in reported charity scams. So it's not something, to take lightly. It's happening frequently, so that you're getting that many complaints. It's only 662 complaints, but $8,000, $8 million, $8 million.
$8 million.
So
Yep.
it's bad.
So it's charitynavigator.org is what it is.
All right.
So if you go to charitynavigator.org, you can actually do a search for charities, and it gives you, what type of rating they have and all that kind of stuff. So you can make sure that the charity you're dealing with is legit. So just remember that.
Mm-hmm. And then identity theft, 185 million. Lottery, sweepstakes, and inheritance, 194 million. If you'll just send me X amount of money, I will give you the information on this inheritance that you have or this lottery you won. But ransomware is in there. 32 million. Why am I doing that? But identity theft, 186 million. And what do we tell you about when people steal patient records? They have everything they need for identity theft. Everything. Plus, they can do a lot of other things with it. So knowing that it's that many, that's just the reported cases of identity theft. So as we're talking about that, and we're looking at the losses, as we started, we talked about the over 60 losses and the under 20 losses. And sure enough, investment, that's the big thing for over 60. But the second thing is tech support.
Yep.
But then the third thing is the con game and romance. They're just wanting a companion, and they're taking advantage of them. Oh, I just need this amount of money for this, or I'll be over there. I'm coming from, Hong Kong, whatever. I don't know where, but I'm going to visit from there, and I just need a little extra money, or I need to pay for this. My mom's dying, whatever it is. People will do it. And in these scams, they'll even get people to, send pictures, and then they start harassing them and doing evil things. And we even talked about it. The Darknet Diaries discussion about the what was it? Pig slaughter? I don't know.
Pig butchering.
Pig butchering, yeah. So
Yep.
you can see easily it's either panic sets in over tech support, give me companionship on romance or, con games, or help me get rich. That's the vast majority of what's, the top part of over 60. But it's still, where we look at things, that go into there's only 2 that are under $1 million. That the losses are under $1 million last year. And that's the botnet and threats of violence, where they're like, come on, bring it. Because that don't work, I guess. I don't know. But still, only 2 of all of these fell under $1 million in losses. And you got to go way down before you get to under $10 million. So these are massive amount of losses that are happening to those over 60 because they're falling for it. And I would be interested to see those over 70, just to be sure, because, longer lifespan now. But here's the thing. Well, first let's hit the 17 and younger losses, which theirs is kind of weird. It's like 4.7 million in investment scams because they're trying to get rich too. But then the next one's other. I don't know what other is. There's so many listed. What could other be? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you typically would think other would be like, okay, here's a small amount. It's just all under other. But no, this is the number 2 one.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know how. I mean, there's 2 columns. It's a huge list. How can there be an other that is number 2? I don't know. But still, you're looking at a lot of money. Now, good thing is ransomware is 0 because they don't have anything that you can encrypt on their computers. Malware, botnet, inheritance, they're not falling for any of that. But they are the government impersonation, the data breach, the non-payment, other, but still investment is where they're falling for it. And I bet it has a lot to do with crypto. I'm just saying.
I did find it interesting that malware was $35.
Literally, it's $35. Just $35. I guess. I don't know. They convinced them to buy a antivirus. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's probably cheaper to pay that than it is to get it cleaned up. So just give them $35. Call it a day.
Yeah. So the big thing is